Just like the seasonal convos about Koffee's sexuality, we're back. The Grammy kid, who is actually a full-fledged adult entitled to live her life as she chooses, is again being slammed by the man obsessed with asses and what people are doing with their asses, Foota Hype.
And I was like, why are you so obsessed with me?
The latest backlash was reignited by her feature on Sam Smith's song Gimmie, which features Jesse Reyez. At quick glance, it looks like a recipe for disaster. Sam Smith, a global pop star, is non-binary, which means he doesn't exclusively identify as male or female. Koffee, Jamaica's meal ticket for modern-day musical crossover success, is an androgynous recluse whose sexuality has been corner shop talk since she blew up in 2018. And here they go, having the nerve to collaborate together on a flirty number treated with girl-on-girl visuals. Whoa. But the fake outrage stems deeper than this. Koffee, whose given name is Michaela Simpson, was aesthetically introduced to us as a desexualized teenager with musical talent. She physically oozed a father's demure idealizations of his teenage daughter and softened many a heart with a tribute to sprint legend Usain Bolt. While we're on her image, I want to highlight her hair. The discourse around her sexuality has often been tied to her hair, which is being used to identify her as Rastafarian, though she has never declared that. Kind of feeding that narrative is her association with the Uptown Rastas, or formerly the Reggae Revival Enclave, who embraced her from the onset. Consequently, there's this belief that she paraded as Rasta purporting righteousness, only to be allegedly homosexual, which not only contrasts Rasta liberty, but also the underlying uprightness and virtue that reggae vessels. Adding fuel to the fire is her style, while some, like myself, have found her edgy, conservative style refreshing in a secular space which leaves little to the imagination. Others equate her tomgirl aesthetic to a butch god. Somewhere along this cyclical dissecting of what she is, I interviewed Professor Donna Hope, who provided more context. I get the impression that they want her to dress like one of these Rastafarian female artists who wears gowns and wraps. In their mind, she seems to be an anomaly because she's dressing in a male-focused way. Her profile reminds me of Queen Ifrica. She used to be a very militant Rasta woman, still is, but she used to be very militant in her dress, wearing a lot of khaki and buttons, no makeup, but at the same time she'd wear head wraps and Rasta garments. She was still always seen as the expected image of a reggae female artist, and Koffee does not fit into that image, so people are concerned. Missy Elliott also had that tomboyish image, but she was fashionable with it, wearing a lot of makeup, nails, and jewelry. Koffee is more laid back and not into flashy dressing, and that is where the confusion lies for many people. In the midst of the whispers about what she is, she stunned the island by becoming the first female to win the Grammy for Best Reggae Album in 2020. The moment was symbolic for more than one reason. On one hand, she became the youngest person to win in that category, and again, the first female, but also, should she actually be queer? Which still isn't our business, but just for context. Her win is the most wondrous contradiction. We know her winning body of work, Rapture, doesn't constitute the framework of reggae, but let's work with it. It would be such a middle finger to the holier-than-thou construct in reggae, like, look at me, my sexual lifestyle rebels against the one man to a woman preachings of reggae, and I won the award all of you want. The bow on the package was her ensemble at the ceremony. Mind you, she said she didn't expect to win, so it's not like she intended to provoke by wearing a suit, but she did, in all her genreless, rebellious glory, confusing the derriere watchers and gatekeepers who desperately want to know what she is. Just when you thought things couldn't progress, a cozy photo of her and Indignation's former PR girl had many declaring that this was Koffee's lady love. It was a sick epoch, the obsession to get to the root of Koffee's sexual preference, even if that meant grasping at straws to create a salivating narrative. In a total "what would Beyonce do" moment, Koffee did not respond. She has never responded to the rumors, speculations, and preoccupation about who she's loving. As if the murmur wasn't enough of a spectacle, the discussions about her sexuality have collided with that of other public figures like Silence Ravers and Lila Ike. In the dancer's case, he was caught showing his rear to a transgender woman on camera, but defended that he didn't know she wasn't a cis woman. I've linked an article which details the story in the description so you can check that out. In Ike's case, she felt compelled to first a mystery character who was trying to out her. So she beat them to the punch and declared that she's into women. Correction. She does reggae and she's into women. I also did an article on that, so you can check that out in the description for deeper context. So, to rib on this, the interest surrounding Jamaican music and sexuality has been re-energized in a way that hasn't felt material in years because of audience evolution, and Koffee is unfortunately the pig up for hypocritical slaughter. Now on to this song. Gimmie very much oozes young, wild, free, and having sex, okay? Rhythmically, there's a clear dancehall undertone which explains the recruiting of a Jamaican on the record. Producer too, as Andrew Blacks is one of the producers on the track. Anyway, Koffee fits the mold because she's one of the leading and current faces internationally when it comes to music emanating from Jamaica. Her androgynous aesthetic made her an easy target to collaborate with a queer person. I'm sensing a deliberate intention to get a Jamaican on the track, but also a Jamaican who defies the homophobic stereotype and would be a breeze to work with. Koffee checks all of those boxes. You definitely wouldn't want somebody like a bounty killer who would blast you for life after coming on set and seeing all this same-sex action. Recall, he appeared in No Doubt's Hey Baby video and was in another scene, so he didn't know there would be a naked man in the final cut, which he equated to promoting aquatic behavior. On the matter of the video, that's a primary bone of contention in this situation. The dancehall flavored track received a cliche treatment. House party with breakout scenes and batty rider bells, except it deviated from the standard representations of dancehall culture and dancehall space. You have women tucked away in a corner making out, other same-sex groups whining and flirting with each other, and in the midst of that, Koffee performing to the camera in close proximity to the gyrating women before her. This is where I'd propose that maybe Koffee had no input in the creative direction of the video, as she is a featured act and just like Bounty Killer innocently showed up to set and only saw the final cut. But unlike Bounty, she was around the festivities. Not only that, she performed to the women, which nourishes the side of me that believes Koffee doesn't mind riling up the unwarranted emotions of the bottom watchers. Again, it was almost like a middle finger to Foota Hype and a statement that she's going to live as she pleases and no one can stop her. A friend of mine also posited the possible influence of her label or team in this provocation. It is their job to understand her brand perception and misconception and craft a PR strategy that promotes the desired brand they want Koffee to have. With that said, there's a kind of allure and elements of mystery when it comes to Koffee's sexuality that clearly keeps people glued to her every move.
It's provocative.
No, it's not. It
gets the people going.
Maybe they're leaning into that with this collaboration and even in other endeavors she's formed part of, like the Calvin Klein campaign. In an interview with Dancehall Mag, Koffee said she didn't have a response to the backlash the project received, but showed no regrets in being a part of it. That track came about very organically. I was in Jamaica like quite a few months before, and I received the demo for the track basically with an empty space for me to put my verse, and I felt like I really enjoyed the beat. So I put the verse down, and then a few months later, they called me for a music video, and I had fun right throughout. Me, Jesse, and Sam, it was a great opportunity for me, so very enjoyable. Whether this is PR driven or not, the matter of her sexuality bears cultural relevance, which forms the root of Foota Hype's argument. His thing is, you made your debut as a Rasta and rode on its coattails for musical success. And now that you have achieved it, you're going against the heterosexual grain that Rastafari promotes. Again, guys, Koffee has never said she's a Rastafarian, neither has she said she's a lesbo. I'm just explaining Foota's stance. He further argues that her participation in a music video that misrepresents dancehall culture is a letdown to the genre and Jamaica at large, as dancehall does not condone homosexuality. I want to highlight that he reiterates that he has no issue with Koffee nor any artist and their private affairs, but is grossly unsettled when he feels they are promoting that lifestyle through their professional pursuits. He also called out dreadlocked artists Protege, Chronix, and Kabaka Pyramid for parading with Koffee, which he said is a conflict of interest for the principles of Rastafari that they should uphold. There's also the religious element which he ever so often throws in, but one could argue that he should have considered what God would have wanted when he was abusing Miss Legendary in front of their child. Allegedly. The reality is, you'll always have people invested in and feeling entitled to the personal affairs of others. The reality is, the music consuming audience has evolved from 20 years ago to be less preoccupied with sexual orientation. And dare I say, the reality is, even if we knew what she is, it wouldn't change the price of rice. Our world would not stop spinning. Life would go on. Lila Ike posited that she does reggae and is into girls, and still got booked for the biggest local concerts last year, which exposed her to a wider audience. A lot of it is fake outrage and unwarranted entitlement. In the words of Professor Hope, Koffee shouldn't respond. It will never be enough for insatiable appetites. As long as she is happy with and in her life and continues to give us dope music, the noise will be just that. Noise. I touched on many things in today's video, so let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, like and subscribe if you dig the vibe, and share this video with your tribe.